Be Bob just asked why the fans aren't on inside the
This is
living
what
room.
Penn State fans want to know on the Blue White Breakdown.
Yeah.
If you're watching and not listening, Dave's got this really nice house. It's 1,000 degrees out, and his fans aren't on inside his house. And this is one of the reasons why I think Dave's a little left of center. I think it's decisions
No,
like this that
there's
are really,
there's a good
really
reason.
set it back.
There's a good reason. Kaiser, you want to come in and tell Bob?
What did
Why?
Kaiser eat the remote control or what?
No, he doesn't like the ceiling fans.
Oh, okay.
They,
Well, then
they
that
bother
is
him.
a good answer.
They bother him. He doesn't know what they are.
It's a
He
pretty
can't figure 'em
expensive,
out.
sweet-looking fans.
If you know anything about German Shepherds, they think too much. They think about everything, and he cannot fathom what these things are.
Okay.
And it cracks up my father-in-law,
Cracking me up.
my Iraqi father-in-law to no end, because he'll see Kaiser look up at the fan. Sometimes he goes, he'll go, he's looking at that fan.
Hey, dogs come first. That is a really good answer, Dave. I have a couple of questions for you since it's Delaware week, big week for Penn State. But I want to just start with this. In your opinion, is Neil Brown a horse's patoot? Because I think he is.
No. Did you watch the tape, right?
Yeah.
All right. The whole thing?
Well, no, I'm just talking about. Yeah, I know. They just parsed part of his answer, right? That what goes around.
I don't know if they did. They probably did, because
I think
that's what clickbait websites do. They want to piss off everybody, and
it was a long answer, and they focused in on the very end of it, I believe. So yeah,
probably.
But I just think that I don't understand what goes around. What does he expect Penn State to do when you're trying?
Oh, it's 38-15. He's a little pissed off.
He's trying to save his job, justify the result, justify the
he's in his fifth year. He is coaching for his job. And he thought they would do better than that. Scores, the way things look, matters.
Right.
And he said, I don't know if this is on the clip that's going around, but
I don't think it is. It's all about what goes around comes around. That's all they're
I watched the entire press conference because I thought it was interesting. And because we were on deadline and I couldn't get down there for anything on Saturday night. There was just no time. So I didn't watch it until Sunday night when I started doing the power poll. And he started out, some guy asked him from West Virginia, because that's all that was there. And he said, nah, it's like, he said, nah, who cares?
Yeah.
That was the first word out of his mouth.
I know. That's what former PennLive reporter Greg Pickle told me. And then he said that at the very end, he said that, and he got.
Then he said, I called timeouts. I called 2 timeouts. Again, saying
onside kick, 2 timeouts.
I was calling my timeouts. It's not a big deal. Yeah. And then the guy said something else that you can't hear. I don't know who the reporter was. And he was like, I don't know, man. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it. He says, here's the thing. I wouldn't have done it, but I'm not mad about it. He said it just like that. I mean, I like Neil Brown. If more coaches were like Neil Brown in post-game press conferences, really honest and frank, I think he's terrific. I don't think he's a head coach. I think he's an offensive coordinator. He's one of those mad scientist guys who probably shouldn't be a head coach, but he's a hell of an offensive coordinator who had a little bit of a bad night. He didn't coach a very good game, and I think he knew that too. He didn't call a very good game. Right. Did you think that? Because I thought that C.J. Donaldson kid could have run for 200 yards.
Yeah,
they could have been.
He could have really shortened the game. He really could.
Yes, and they could have been in business where if they get a break.
Yep.
Who knows what happens? It's not like James Franklin's been a great late game situational coach. So you remember Indiana? I mean, you weren't there. I was.
You were there.
You can't believe. I couldn't believe. I mean, that was turned into a situation where Indiana could win the game. It could have been something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Just from buffoonery. So he's probably a little pissed off. And then he goes, I wouldn't have done it. And then where I thought he went sideways was that kind of stuff. It goes around. It'll come around sometime. I don't know. I don't know when, but And, come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you score points too, in the way people perceive your football team in the rankings. And the rankings among the committee matter. So, I don't know. Penn State fans remember 1994 still in the Indiana game, which was
Bill
not a
Mallory.
game. Not a
Bill
game
Mallory.
until Indiana scored a couple of touchdowns and made it 35-29 at the very end, where it was 35-14. That perception had everything to do with them not playing against Nebraska in the what would have been the national title game instead of a lot of other things had to do with it too. The Rose Bowl wasn't on board with the national championship. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. I'll back off my Neil Brown horse's patoot. I will do that. So, Dave, my next topic for you is: will Penn State fans, especially older Penn State fans, know what the phrase "streaming on Peacock" means?
What? This is.
How will that go down on Saturday when they realize when they turn on their TV remote and there may not be an immediate remedy for watching the
It's got the NBC logo on it, isn't it? This is the network with Laugh-In, right? That's
Rowan and Martin.
This was Rowan and Martin, right? I've got it on NBC. Harriet, I've got it on NBC.
Cable.
There was this great fake public service announcement about 12 years ago. Remember when everything went from analog to digital?
Yeah.
And it had this very officious guy on the video talking about how you can convert your you remember that video? Convert your TV from analog to digital. Yeah. And he's saying all you need to do is go get a converter box with that goes from 70 to 45 hertz. and there's this old woman who looks exactly like my mom. I sent it to my sister, and she said, "David, that is mother." And she's getting ready to actually cut the cord and try to tape it onto.
What about those rabbit ear antenna that I have? They work.
Simple question. Did you ever have to stand next to the TV and hold it while your dad watched something?
I'm no spring chicken, Dave. I do think maybe early mid 70s I might have been made to do that, but against my will. But hey, anything for the team. So
you had a hard upbringing. I know that, and the Lehigh Valley. It's not an easy place to grow up.
Oh my gosh, a great segue. Lehigh Valley. Sanders Sahadak, Bethlehem Liberty. I went to Bethlehem Freedom. Just wasn't his night against West Virginia. Missed kicks at 34 and 38 yards. They went to Alex Felkins. He made a short one and 3 extra points. Second half, James said, Sahadak addressed the team Sunday after the practice. Obviously, had some owning up to do. James thought that went a long way, but ultimately, he's got to have to perform. I'm sure they're both. I would use both of them in this game just to see who's the more consistent one. But I mean, eventually they're going to need somebody that they can make a 40-yard kick. Eventually they'd be able to trust somebody.
It might not be soon.
Yeah.
Well, these things.
Illinois at Illinois. That'll be a little bit harder.
It's going to be an acid test. Yeah. Yeah. And are we going to just start talking about Illinois? We're going to pretend that Delaware doesn't exist, right?
We don't talk about Drew Allar. I think there's going to be blood in the streets. We got to talk. Yeah. Penn State fans are in love. It is puppy love of the highest order, well deserved. But he set the bar pretty high for the rest of his career.
Well, the point is, this is an exhibition. This is like Maryland playing Towson. These games should not exist anymore. They just shouldn't exist. Because you're just taking money from fans for how many people are trying to get rid of the tickets this week? It's a lot, probably tens of thousands.
Yes,
and they don't want to go see this. So everyone wants to talk about Illinois, and I watched Illinois. Well, are we going to talk about Illinois? Or are we going to talk about Delaware
for next week?
Are we going to talk about Delaware?
No, let's just talk about what we thought about the game. There were a lot of new faces. There were a lot of fans freaking out early in the game about, it was 7-7. And I'm like, guys, it's the first game, new center. new left guard, new quarterback. The defense was so charged up, they overran everything. They never contained the quarterback. They were just out of control. But as the game went on, Penn State settled down on defense, I thought. And then, other than that chunk play, I mean, they could have shut this team out if they wanted to. And then the passing game and what he can do and finding the open receivers and the running game. I just think this offense is going to get a little bit better each week. And I think you will see market improvement from the defense.
All right. Did that defense remind you of?
Did anything bug you about the game from the Penn State side?
Yeah, and it relates to Illinois. That's why I'm bringing it up. Garrett Green, the West Virginia quarterback, reminds you a lot of Luke Altmaier, the kid that Illinois now has. And if you didn't watch any of that tape, I mean, they just barely beat Toledo, and you're thinking,
I did see the score. I did see it required a little heroics late. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to see the kid. I know who did see the kid because I haven't talked to him yet, but he was doing the game, and that's Matt Millen.
All right. There we go.
He came away really, really impressed. And man, so was I. This is like Garrett. This kid is like Garrett Green as far as elusiveness, but can hit receivers. He is going to be a problem for this defense. That's why I'm saying, are we going to talk about Illinois?
And they did give up a bunch of points too.
Illinois
did give up a bunch of points.
Yeah. This is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Everyone's been talking about this damn defense like they're going to shut people out. I don't think they are.
It's not even really a thing anymore. You could you got to get stops when it matters.
I know. But this is another defense, it looks like to me. And you're asking what bugged me, and this is what bugged me. Looks like another Penn State defense that runs around blocks instead of running through them. You disagree with that?
I think the way that West Virginia ran its offense, and I will say this, they were way too excited at the start of the game, and the fundamental football was not happening. And I guarantee you Manny was not happy either. But I thought, Dave, as the game went on, it got a little bit better and a little bit better. And I'm not going to use the term mulligan, but West Virginia, after that one drive, they moved the ball between the 20s, but I just, it just never felt to me like Penn State was in trouble. It was just a question of when, they make those two short kicks. I just thought they were in command for much of the game. And I think West Virginia, with the way they run their offense, is going to do this to just about every team they play on their schedule, where they're going to move the ball, but can they score?
Yeah, I don't think Garrett Green can hit the pass from 20, 25, 30 yards that offenses these days need to hit. And that's his problem. And I think Neil Brown kind of knew that, but I thought he got way too impatient. I thought he should have Bielema'd this defense.
Right.
And I think he could have, and he didn't. Guys like that, they're mad scientists. Like I said, they're offensive coordinators, and they want to play with their toys, and they can't dumb it down easily.
Right.
This was screaming out for a coordinator who would have dumbed down that game. And I want to see what happens, because I didn't think anybody except maybe Adisa Isaac on the front six had a good game.
Yeah,
I mean nobody.
Curtis was pretty good. I also thought,
Curtis Jacobs was good. Yeah.
I just think that I don't know that Penn State, they might see maybe the Michigan center is better than this guy, but the defensive tackles, they were missing Keziah Izzard, who was one of their biggest tackles, and they did get wiped out on some plays, but that guy is really good. And the guy next to him, I think, was really good too. I think his name's Devlin, but that's the strength of the West Virginia team. And you're right. If they had just given the ball to Donaldson about 12 more times.
30, yeah, which would have been 30. It was exactly the number I said.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you got a ball game.
That Penn State wouldn't have had the ball as nearly as much to do damage. But those two players were good, and I just think you could beat up on the defensive tackles, but they faced two NFL players, and it was just a rough night for them.
Well, they didn't do the right thing. Neil Brown called a bad game, and I think he knows it. So, who's the next coach that's gonna try to ask some questions of this defense? It is Brett Bielema.
It's going to
It
be
is Brett Bielema.
yeah.
He's not gonna mess around. He doesn't have to be super genius.
He will
He,
not.
and he
That
doesn't look
that
like it either.
that was a coaching clinic he put on in 2021 at
Yes,
Beaver,
it was.
and
And
it was ugly, but it was beautiful at the same time. It really
yes,
was.
yes, it was. It was, wasn't it? It was
They had no
beautiful.
business being in that game, and they just did the one. They said we're going to do what we can do, and Sean Clifford was not 100%,
Yeah.
but they had some athletes on that team that nobody knew about that were really, really, really good, and they beat them up.
Well, Brown, how many times did Brown carry in that game? Those guys are both in the NFL. But his
Beaver
brother
Stadium
Sidney,
rushing record.
Sidney's with the Eagles, right?
So Brown is with the Bengals. He already won the number 2 job behind Joe Mixon, and they're
Mhm.
raving about him.
And Sidney Brown's with the Eagles, I believe.
Yeah, and he looked
Yeah.
really good in preseason. That corner got picked number 5 overall by the Seahawks, Witherspoon. I don't know if he was on that team or not.
Well, so here's the thing about Illinois. Since that is my problem with Penn State, I am skipping Delaware because it's immaterial. So I'm looking ahead to teams that could give them trouble. You mentioned only maybe Michigan is a legit defense that can stop these guys. I
Iowa.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Ohio State's really fast.
Yeah.
But again, it's another defense like Ohio State's been having lately that would rather run you down or run around the block to get you. They're a lot like Penn State that way.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the other side of the ball against this defense. And again, Illinois is not the way they were 2 years ago or last year at all. They don't have the big boys up front who can handle this. But all this Luke Altmaier, he came to him from Mississippi. He was at Ole Miss, and I don't know what the problem was there. I guess they had somebody they liked better, but I can't imagine it. He is a really dangerous quarterback, and he is going to give them problems. He's got like Garrett Green, except he can throw on the run like Allar did, and they're going to score some points. They are going to score some points on Penn State's defense. And I think this season might develop into something we didn't expect at all because I think Penn State's offense is super equipped. I feel really good about Penn State's offense now, where I might not have before. I think we're going to be in some Donniebrooks this year. I think we're going to be in a lot of games like that Ohio State game last year, the 44-31 game, except more points. I'm not sure anyone can stop this Penn State offense. But I'm not nearly as bullish on the defense as everyone else is. So that's where I'm going.
All right. We'll let it play out. Illinois will be a really good indicator. Even to an extent, it'll be at Penn State. And, some Penn State people have not forgotten what Mr. Ferentz did 2 years ago. That's going to be a tough game for Iowa. But I think the Illinois game really, really, you're going to know a lot more good or bad about Penn State in 2 weeks for sure. Early kick, all of it. Brett, Bielema knowing he's going to do exactly, whatever the best game plan is to beat Penn State. You're going to see it from Illinois.
You're not going to see 2021 from this team. It'll be completely different. And when you talk about Toledo, they beat Toledo 30-28 and needed
the Mud Hens. Are they the Mud Hens?
Yeah, no, the Rockets. But they've been consistent.
All right, never mind.
That's a minor league baseball team, Bob.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Toledo. Okay, I got you.
It's up near Geauga Lake. You know where that is, right? Remember Geauga Dog in your youth? Okay. Anyway, Toledo is a better team than people realize. They took I think they took Notre Dame to the end a couple of years ago, didn't they?
They're scrappy. Sure. They're always in MAC contention. I think usually
they're always the best recruiting team in the MAC. They've got players, but I don't think this is the standard Illinois team. So they're not going to do the same things that the one 2 years ago did, which was the last time we saw Illinois. Anyway, I just think this season is going to go in a different direction than people thought, but a fun direction.
You better pick. I want you to pick the over, whatever the total is for Penn State, Illinois. You're going to have to. I want your score.
I will.
Okay.
I will. I might pick the over every game based on.
Well, just remember now, this rule. James was talking about it. There were 10 less plays in that West Virginia Penn State game than normal, so the clock is an issue. and it's going to be it'll be harder, I think, in conference play to go back and forth. I could be wrong about that, but the clock is real, and those timeouts NBC had were, geez, they're like 7-minute TV timeouts.
No, they're a minute. They're a minute more.
It's too much. It's too
I
much.
read about it. Yeah, I mean, they gave him that when they gave him the piece of the contract.
Yeah,
and it sucks. Yeah, it does. Plus, everything NBC touches just turns to crap, doesn't it? NBC is not a good sports network, and hasn't been since Dick Ebersol got there 40 years ago, who was, I believe, Susan St. James' husband.
Yes,
there's going back.
Commissioner, wasn't the Commissioner and I? What was that show?
Mm-hmm.
She was
McMillan and Wife.
Yeah,
with Rock Hudson.
Wasn't the Commissioner and I? Was it called something like that?
McMillan and Wife.
McMillan and Wife. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it's been all downhill for NBC Sports since Kurt Gowdy was out of his prime. That was when I think of NBC Sports, I always think of Kurt Gowdy. He was one of the best. I know Penn State fans.
He was, but he was out of his
like,
element. I can only remember how out of his element he was with the Rose Bowl because he didn't do his homework. He didn't. He just went out there and winged it.
Yeah.
He mispronounced Mike Sensabaugh's name like 4 different ways. He never got it. Sensenbaugh. He never got it right. Plus, did I send you? This will be actually the 50th anniversary of Tower of Power playing at the Rose Bowl halftime show, which is a great
Ohio State Rose Bowl by any chance, Dave?
Yes, the Ohio State USC Rose Bowl.
Okay, that's why you know it.
Yeah, but I went back and watched it, and Kurt Gowdy's introduction is worth the price of admission. He goes, and now they are, and here they are, this group, this musical group, the Tower of Par.
Yeah.
The Tar of Par.
Yeah. So Kurt Gowdy never pronounced the word him, H-I-M, right? It was always eem. He got him. There he goes.
He got him.
It was I-M. The H was always silent. I was like, come on, Kurt.
That must be a Wyoming thing. He was from Wyoming.
Yeah. Was he on that with Marlon Perkins? Did he ever do any of those American sportsman shows on ABC or whatever?
Oh yeah, Fred Bear.
Mutual of Omaha. He was an outdoors.
No, it was the American Sportsman, and he would always go out and shoot stuff with their hunting partner, Fred Bear. That was the guy's name.
Yeah, he had 4 cases of peels in the boat. He was living his best life on ice, just having himself a Sunday afternoon.
That was the whole show that Second City TV parodied with the fishing musician with John Candy.
So just real quick, one more 70s reference. I was watching the Cowboys-Vikings 77 NFC Championship game last
Oh my God! What is wrong with you?
I forgot about this beer called Tuborg Gold. I was like, wow, that is one that got past me. Tuborg Gold.
Tuborg.
Tuborg Gold. It was 2 words.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it even stumped you.
Well, I thought you were a big Hams fan.
When they poured it in the glass in the commercial, it looked awful. So yeah.
Well, there was a lot of bad beers back. We were living in the golden age of beer. Wouldn't you agree? What am I talking to you for? You drink Coors Light. I mean, you don't even care.
The golden age of beer.
That stuff. You'll drink urine. That stuff you drink is urine. It's awful.
Oh.
But Budweiser. Why would anyone drink Budweiser now when you've got all these great beers? I mean, there's anything you could possibly want. Yeah, there were a lot of bad beers in the 70s.
Look it up. Look it up, Jones. Tuborg Gold. Anyway,
what about Wiedemann? Ever had that?
We're 24 minutes into this beauty that's going to win a lot of awards. So let's just.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's Delaware.
I know. I thought we did about as best as we could.
We should add Mike Myers on to say, "Hey, we're in Delaware."
What kind of score do you fancy on Saturday?
I'm sorry. Oh,
what's your score on the Peacock streaming event?
48-0.
Oh, you don't think they're going to score?
No.
All right.
No. This is not a competitive game.
All right.
I mean, there are certain limit at this time. You have to play an FBS team. And even some of those are just getting so ridiculous. What, buddy, we saw, I don't think West Virginia is going to be very good,
No.
but the rest of the Big 12 isn't going to be very good either.
No.
We're seeing here, and somebody asked me what I thought of Iowa State, because Iowa State is -4, or they're +4 at home. Okay?
There's a lot of gambling suspensions, I think, in play in that game. A lot of players got tossed for gambling.
Yeah. So, they've got big trouble. Iowa State's got a lot of trouble otherwise that has nothing to do with the gambling. They were 4-8 last year. So I didn't even touch the gambling stuff.
All right.
Would you touch Iowa State even with 4 points at home in that game? No.
All I would do is just unload them. Whatever the under is, go way under. Those teams, they could be 22, and I would go under.
That's what the number is 36. The number is 36.
Yeah.
And I said my only play would probably be under, because that could be won on a walk-off safety.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Northwestern Rutgers game total was 39.5. I thought I was hallucinating when I saw that. I'm like, what? It barely got to 31.
You know what I did? I mean, this is much worse than watching the 77 Vikings Cowboys. I watched the entire Rutgers Northwestern game. What is wrong with me?
You need to get your stuff together.
It's a cry for help.
It is a cry for help. You like bad TV. Just admit it.
I like bad football. Somebody said, "Why would you do that? What are you doing?" And I said, "I've watched hour-long infomercials just for the audacity of the pitch."
Yeah, you like bad TV. That's what I'm saying.
Bad football is kind of fascinating to me. I mean, I have never seen a Big Ten team that is capable of being as bad this year as Northwestern is. I mean, they're going to wipe away the Chris Ash Rutgers teams, which technically Big Ten people wouldn't.
Somewhere he's got a big smile on his face, don't you think? He's like, well, somebody one-upped me.
But Schiano does have people running around and hitting people. He does. I'm going to send you this because I know you love this play anyway, and it's underrated. But Kyle Monangai, their little fire plug is like 5'8" and 210 is what I said. It's the kind of guy that your brother told you to stay away from in bars if you look angry.
I know the type.
Get away from that guy.
Yep.
5'8" and 210. And Northwestern's their second best linebacker, not Gallagher, but the other kid. I mean, he made like 85 tackles last year. He's a representative player. He came in on a blitz and tried to get Kyle Wimsatt. And I'm telling you, Bob, this is like the greatest blitz pickup I think I've ever seen. And Monangai got right here in him and hit him in the hole and drove him back and pancaked him on a blitz pickup. This is a 5'8" guy. Just destroyed him. Mueller, I think is his name. It was something. And Rutgers was running around and hitting people. They're not going to be as bad as they have been. So I don't know if anyone.
And how would you 90 minutes watching this, or was it that condensed hour game, or did you watch it live?
No, I watched it live.
You spent 3 hours on it.
You're talking about 3 hours and 10 minutes watching that.
How did you get up that early after getting back late?
You know what else? I watched Minnesota, Nebraska. You didn't watch that.
No.
I watched all of that live. It might have been worse. I mean, there's a lot of bad football and bad quarterbacks, but there are a couple of new quarterbacks and that Altmaier kid at Illinois. And I have to watch all this stuff.
Sure. Dave, PennLive has counseling available for people who watch bad
TV. They don't.
Yes, they do. Just check with our HR person. It's I think it's only a couple bucks a month. You need to get it.
They're just going to ask me if I've had suicidal thoughts lately, and I'm not going in there.
Let's not go there. All right, you said 48-0. I'll say 52-6 with a mercy touchdown in the second half, and that's it.
You mean a backdoor? Yeah.
Well, there's no official line on this game.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they won't.
That's it. If you have a game where they won't even put a line on it, it shouldn't be played.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Yeah. You shouldn't be playing.
Dave, how about if you just record a video for the Penn State fans and instruct them how to stream on Peacock? That would be awesome.
Because I don't know it. I don't know how to do it. What happened? Did you just have a Corona on your
I don't
in
know.
your?
I think I'm in this. No, I'm in the city in Harrisburg, and there might have been. I don't know. I don't know what's going on outside, but yeah, either that or I don't
That
know if there's an alien invasion going on or what.
that might be a sign. Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up, Jones. We'll talk to you guys next week, and Dave is going to have plenty to say about the Brett Bielema. I can't wait.